Alright, hey everyone, Needs More Drums here, back in City Skylines 2 in our 100% vanilla region of Grand Keys. With Groovesville growing rapidly, people are flocking to Grand Keys for new opportunities. However, these opportunities are somewhat limited for one main reason: the lack of higher education. Other than Percussione Coast College, there's nowhere for anyone to obtain a university level degree. Today, we're going to change that by building a beautiful Hillside University campus in Groovesville. Let's get started. Alright, so yeah, welcome back everybody. It has been a long time since I've even opened up this game. Life has just been insanely busy and a lot of gigs, a lot of band practices. Summer's starting, so it's kind of that time of year where a lot of my weekends are spent kind of out of town and, doing everything like that. But I am excited for this episode, even though there was a new patch that came out. There's all of the new key walls and bridges and everything. Could be very, very useful in the city. And I know maybe some of you were expecting, a waterfront development episode or a industry redevelopment episode, in like this area over here. But that is all to come, because I really want to get this university built because our city is currently lacking the highest level of education. And so this isn't going to be a massive university, but I think it's going to be a nice place to be. We have this hillside right here. There's actually quite a bit of buildable land on this hillside. It's deceptively flat in a lot of these places. So like right here, I'm figuring we can build something here and then, kind of have a road that snakes through here and kind of connects up with the highway. It's sort of like an old like scenic bypass, so it could give people an alternative route to get in and out of the city, as opposed to just, hopping on these massive ramps here in this like weird interchange. So the game plan is we're going to kind of lay out some of these roads, and then we'll build the university up here. And then I'm thinking about, depending on the space, I'm thinking about kind of tucking away some like, homes and little bit of suburban, single family homes kind of up in these hillsides. And I think that'll look really, really nice. And so this isn't going to be a massive development. We're not going to go really much past here or wherever we connect up to the highway. I don't envision us like going down over here, at least not right now, and like building stuff. Maybe in the future, maybe we'll snake a road down here and build a little like beachside town if we want. So let me know what you guys think about that. If that's something you would like to see. Never done too much like that, but it could be cool. Now that I think about it, this does look like some pretty flat land. Maybe we can get away with doing something like that over here. But yeah, for now we're just going to focus on this hillside. So the first thing that I want to do is buy this tile, and I'm tempted to buy this tile as well. We're making a ton of money. Yeah, we could afford to buy both. Just in case, we do end up building down here in the future. We can have this if we need it. So that'll unlock that land for us. I think that's going to be really, really good. And so the next thing that I want to do is just drag out a road that's going to kind of shape where all of this is. So I want to keep the campus all kind of on its own. So I don't want to like split it up across a main road. So I think what we're going to do is try to keep this as far to like the left here as we can, because this area is all pretty flat. So I think this is going to be really good to build our campus. And then, like I said, we can kind of snake this around and sort of come back through here and then kind of connect up to the highway, somewhere like over here or something. These power lines look horrendous and we're going to rebuild those, but I didn't do that. They were with the map, so don't get mad at me. But yeah, let's just kind of see what we could do here. I know this is a little bit of a strange kind of area to work with, but we'll do something like, maybe we'll start with just a straight section of road here, and then kind of curve this around. All right, so something like this is kind of what I'm envisioning for now. And this is probably going to be pretty temporary. I just wanted to kind of give like a framework of where these roads are going to go. I'm not too happy about this slope yet. It is very steep. It's about 12 to 15% grade, which is actually extremely steep. But yeah, we'll come back and we'll kind of fix this up a little bit later. I think, like, for example, like this, we can kind of do something about. But I guess, some steep hillside roads are not the worst in this area. It'll be definitely make for a nice drive. But yeah, so in terms of the actual campus itself, I want to build something. I think what we're going to do first is actually going to clear out these trees, make it a little bit easier to kind of see what we're doing. Let's go ahead and do that. So this is kind of the area that I'm envisioning that we're going to be working with here. And you can see by the topography that it's actually not the worst. It's not the worst. It's actually pretty flat. And so even if we just kind of smooth out some of these rougher edges here, you can see that we have quite a nice little plot of land to start building on. And so it's going to sit kind of right in this little valley here, or maybe not a valley, but this little flat part of the land. And then, like I said, once we kind of get up the hillside, we can add some interesting, like homes and little developments kind of off to the side. And maybe even down here we could add something like that as well. And actually, that brings me to another point. I was actually going to build, part of this university was going to be building a university hospital. And so I think maybe this part here would be a great spot for that. So if we don't get to that in this episode, that'll be something that we do in the future. As kind of like an addition to the university, and then maybe like a little business district and a housing district down here as well, as part of the part of this like smaller downtown. So let's go ahead and start by just laying out some roads. So for the university, I'm not going to go super crazy, and just actually to put things in perspective, I want to show you guys which building I was settling on using. And so I was going to use this modern university. I think this is really just a nice size for what we're going for here. I was exploring using, like, we've used a community college, and that's not even a university. That's a college, so it's not going to give us the highest level of education. But the Japanese one is just too big for the area, I think. And same with the Chinese one, is just kind of not fitting the aesthetic that I want. And then the vanilla university is absolutely massive. So we're not going to be able to fit that here. Maybe in a different part of the city, but I think this modern one is perfect. And I know it has some additions and some sub buildings that we could probably add to it. But for right now, we're just going to keep this, kind of on its own. And I think it's going to look really, really good. And we'll build the buildings around it that we need to. So I'm probably going to set this one back. I'm almost tempted to build this first and then kind of work around it. And I kind of wanted this to be just like right on the hillside. So you could, if you're in class, you can just look at this beautiful view. This is prime real estate. This is absolutely prime real estate. I would go to school here. But we'll see about that at the end of the episode, if it actually ends up looking nice or not. But let's plop this down real quick. 750 grand. We have $11 million. I think that's a nice spot for that. And just so we get an idea of some of the upgrades that are available, so we could place these anywhere in this building footprint, which is really, really great for making a campus. I mean, we have the library, we have an extension wing. This one will be right attached to it, I'm sure. The academy building, and these will add extra students. So yeah, so we could build a few of these things, and then we'll add in some housing. And so again, let's just start by dragging out some roads here, and we'll snap to the sides of the building so we can drag a nice road right like so. And then I do want to have a 90 coming off of here. And I'm thinking for that, we're actually going to add in a nice little roundabout as well. Yeah, I'm kind of thinking we'll just do something like that for now. I'm not too disappointed with how this looks. Just a quick way to get through the campus. I wanted it to sit off of the main road so we don't have a lot of traffic issues, with people stopping and trying to come into these buildings. So anyway, now that we have this built, let's add in, I think we'll add in a couple of these university buildings. And so the university library, I do want to have this on the campus. I think this is going to look really good. We could place it down. I'm kind of trying to think. It'll look good right here, just right off of the front of the main building there. You can see we have this pathway connection. So I think what I'm going to do is I might actually add a couple of, well, of course the node's not gonna want to comply with me there, but I do want to add, I guess we'll add them here and here. I do want to add some pedestrian connections so that students can cross the street. And presumably, you know what we could do is actually we could do this too. I think if we just take an alleyway, yeah, right, like this is kind of what I'm going for. Usually it works if I double click it, but for some reason it's not. So we'll cross that bridge a little bit later. Not too worried about that right now. Okay, let's go ahead and add on the academy buildings. So I think I want to put down maybe like 2 of these, and I'll put one of them, kind of connect them to the library here. So I think we could do like, you know, maybe one here and then one kind of as far as we could go. And then we can make a little, kind of a nice little open area between them, kind of like right here. So that'll be really nice. And then we still have room for that extension wing if we need it. But I think this is going to be a nice sort of backbone for our campus. And now I want to think about some student housing. And so when I think about student housing, I always like to, you know, try to go for consistency. So in this case, I think the best option is going to be to grab some of these French low rent buildings. And not only do they look the same, but they also serve a nice purpose, because since they are low rent, they'll actually be more attractive to students, because, you know, students, you assume that they don't have a lot of money yet, and so they're looking for something that's a little bit more affordable. So if we do a couple of 2x4s here, kind of right in the hills, I think that's a nice spot for some of these. And then I think that we'll add in a few more. We'll add in like another little kind of offshoot over here and add some student housing over here as well. Yeah, so hopefully this is going to function as some dorms for us. And I threw this little pathway in here just so I can get the zoning to align a little bit better. But we'll detail this up in a little bit and kind of figure the rest of this out. But yeah, so I think this is kind of a nice start to the campus. You can kind of see where I'm going with this. Again, just beautiful views. These students living in these dorms are going to get some really, really nice housing for the price. And this actually reminds me of, like, you know, in Chicago, there is a school, well, actually both Northwestern and Loyola University in Chicago are both kind of right on the lake. And so I remember, like, going, I visited Loyola a bunch of times, you know, when I was in college. And one really cool thing is that when you're a student, you know, there's actually student housing that is right on the coast of Lake Michigan. And so you can live basically on the beach as a student, which is really, really cool and unique to that, you know, university, because I didn't go to school anywhere near a lake, and I didn't have beautiful, I looked at a power transformer station where I went to college and where I lived in college. So yeah, definitely can't complain about that. But all right, with that being said, I think it is time to jump into some detailing. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump into a little bit of a time lapse. We're going to detail up this campus. We're going to add some parks. We're going to add some amenities. I realized that I didn't actually build any kind of stadium, and I'm not really too upset about that, because it just seems like one of those spots that maybe, I don't know, I'll see if we can fit one or something like that somewhere. But at the very least, you know, maybe we could fit like a little soccer stadium or something, something a little bit different maybe. But yeah, let's just go ahead, get building, and kind of see what happens. All right, and so I don't think that's actually looking too bad right now. Pretty happy with how this turned out. I know I removed some of the student housing, or I guess relocated. I put some more here and then added a couple more apartments kind of along the main road here. But I did want to put a stadium in here. You know, no campus is complete without some sort of stadium. So we have the just the American football field. Perfect size, fits really nicely in this area. And yeah, I think that is not too bad of a, oh my goodness, we're having a death wave across the on the other side of the region here. All right, we'll deal with that a little bit later. So yeah, like I said at the end of the last episode, a city service episode is definitely needed in our future at some point very soon. But yeah, overall pretty happy with this. I think we're gonna add, I wanted to save this space here. I wanted to add some commercial shops. So we'll go ahead and do that. I think I'll just put down some of the North American one, and then we'll do like a European one there too. That'll just, you know, places to go eat, get some groceries, stuff like that. You know, you need that stuff close to a campus, presumably within walking distance. And then maybe we'll even add some like kind of along this road here if we decide to urbanize this street later on. But yeah, the reason that I kind of had this little offshoot here, I figure if we need to grow some student housing, you know, add some more medium density apartments kind of along here, we can. And I know I said I was going to put the hospital here, but I'm actually thinking we might end up putting it over here instead. So again, not upset about that. We have this nice flat area to work with. And it's, you know, a pretty open space that we currently are not using anything. We don't have anything here that, you know, we're doing with this space. So future consideration. But yeah, honestly, I think this is a nice spot to call it an episode. I know I didn't develop any of the housing around here, but I feel like if I start doing that, it's going to get way too long. So I think I'm going to save that for a later episode. We'll just develop up this hillside, kind of revisit this road, make it a little bit more easily transversable. And we'll, you know, make our highway connection, redo these power lines, and just kind of build up this whole little hillside neighborhood. We'll, you know, at a later date. So the university is relatively done as far as I'm concerned. Typical detailing, you know, nothing crazy, just a few props, some trees, some surfaces, you know, nothing groundbreaking here. Just, you know, have this nice little overlook that you can kind of walk out and just look at the ocean. I mean, can you imagine just coming out here, doing your studies? That is beautiful. That is a beautiful view. And even if you're living in some of these dorms here, you know, besides these giant trees that I'll actually remove because I want to create a little bit more of a view. I mean, come on. Look at that. That's beautiful. I'd go to school here, like I said. But anyway, yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Not a crazy, you know, packed episode, but this is definitely something that needed to be done, and it's going to be really beneficial for the region. We already have 2,800 students here out of 21,000 total capacity. So this is going to last us for quite a while, until we need to, you know, think about even building another university. But yeah, I'm happy with how this turned out. I think it sits really nicely in this hillside, and there's, you know, we're going to expand this whole area in the coming episodes. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I will talk to you all in the next episode. Peace out.